Hey, I want you to know that I see you. Yeah, I see you in the midst of everything that's going on and all of the stuff that's vying for our attention these days. And you know what they are? I want to take a minute and celebrate you. I want to take a minute and focus on you because you know what? You deserve it. You're worth it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why. You don't need me to tell you that right now things are hard in the world. They just are. We've got things going on with this worldwide pandemic that brings so much uncertainty that we just sometimes don't even know what to believe. Sometimes don't even know what to do and how to pivot, how to change, and so on and so forth. So the pandemic thing with trying to understand was this vaccine going to be good or not? How long is this going to go on? We've already had this many deaths, and people keep seeing, they're catching it everywhere, and so on and so forth. Okay. Outside of that, it's creating a little bit of economic upheaval, and I really hope that you're not one of those who is unemployed right now, but you may be. And if you are, I'm sorry. I have compassion of that because that's a very tough place to be in, especially in a world of uncertainty. And when we're talking about uncertain economic conditions, it's hard to know what's coming next. It's hard to know what do I do with my business and how do I pivot with that. And it just brings a lot to think about. And what's interesting and unfortunate is that when we have a lot to think about, it's one of the greatest causes of overwhelm. So between a pandemic and economic hardship or economic uncertainty, there's also riots. There's also a lot of unstable social scenarios that are happening across the United States, across the world, and it's very disturbing. People are doing things and saying things these days that have never been brought up before, at least not in the same capacities. And it's causing a little bit of, not a little bit, sometimes a lot of anxiety, of frustration. I need you to know that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Some of the stuff happens, and it's not about whether or not it happens, it's about whether or not we can handle it and how do we handle that sort of thing, which is where I'm going with this. When we're looking at the amount of stuff that's coming at us, we also have to look at okay, so right now, half the world feels like it's on fire. At least the entire Western United States is on fire right now. And there's smoke. In my area where I'm living right now, the air quality has been horrible, right? And so now we can't go outside because of, or can't go places because of pandemic, at least not as much as we used to. And then we can't go outside because of the smoke in the air. And then we're like, okay, so what's happening with my job and my business? And then on top of that, when we're talking about earthquakes are even happening right now, right, in different places, and people worrying about the world shaking itself a little bit, right? None of this is our fault. Oh yeah, by the way, we're in the middle of, not the middle, we're almost at the end of an election year, right? And so there's the candidates and all that they're saying, and then there's fact checking on who's saying stuff that's true and who's not, and how do I trust the media and all these other things that could potentially be coming up during an election year, and what does our future hold dependent upon who wins the election. Did I say that it's not your fault? I mean it. It's not your fault. But what I want to do is I want to offer you some rescue. I want to offer you some things that will help you endure, to help you to make it through, and honestly, to move you into a place of thriving, because right now it feels a lot like survival and a lot like trying to keep my head down and not get shot at, right? So, because of that, I want to throw a little soul care out to you. Okay, I'm going to share with you a handful of things that right now can help you bring back your sanity, that can help you bring back your energy and feel rested, to release the pressure, take it all off of you, and just be able to be better, to be well. And I share this with you because I think you're worth it. I totally believe you're worth it. And I got to tell you, my wife and I are constantly learning every day. And we're studying right now. What are some of the things that we can do just to keep our sanity, just to keep ourselves at something that looks like normal? And so in the midst of all of this, we've found some beautiful things through the grace of other people and books and just trial and error. And I want to share them with you so that you can have them for yourself. Because no matter what happens, when when the election is over, when the fires are quelched, when the riots stop, when the pandemic goes away, all that kind of stuff, there's going to be something else. Maybe not as big, maybe not as hard, but there's always stuff. What I call this interference, right? This is the interference of how things are meant to be, or how I intend things to be. And so here they are. Number one is beauty and nature. When I decided to start looking into beauty, when I got turned on to the idea of beauty, one of the things that fascinated me is the depth at which beauty and nature affects the soul. Now, if you're living in the concrete jungle and you're in the middle of a big city or a city of some sort, there's still opportunity for beauty. As a matter of fact, we overlook it most of the time because we're always on the run. We're always on the run to try to get away from stuff that's tough, or I've got things to do and I just have to keep up, right? Keep up with everybody, keep up with everything. The pace of our world is blistering right now. So what about beauty? What about the flowers in your front yard or backyard? What about the hills that are near you? What about just taking an hour's drive and going somewhere where you can be away from it all, where you can just take in and soak up nature and beauty? There's something beautiful to the soul about being out there and being able to just take it in. Okay, so that's one to consider is how can you get yourself into a position where you can start noticing and being amongst beauty and nature? And when I say noticing, I want you to know that and noticing is enough. Noticing helps you, helps your soul, helps your heart to settle, helps turn your mind off, because awareness itself is transformational. You may not know that. Another one that I want to introduce you to that we found that has been really helpful is silence and solitude. Now, we live in a very noisy modern world. We have more technology and more things and more opportunities and more hustle and more things going on than ever in history. Matter of fact, I also found a statistic out that just about, let's say 30, 40 years ago, if people of that time were experiencing as much coming at them as we are today, they actually would have been institutionalized, like into like a mental ward or some place where they could get some sort of help, recovery, restoration, whatever you call it. Okay. So just know that's what I mean when I say it's not your fault. When it comes to silence and solitude, it gives us an opportunity to silence the noise. And I need you to know that right now I'm studying and I'm reading this particular book about the power of silence. And what's really interesting about it is that silence is more than just quiet. Silence is more than just quietness, if you will. There's noise, there's audible things that you can hear, and it's so valuable to be able to tune that out and turn it off completely. But we also see a lot of noise. We actually hear a lot of noise through our eyes. We see a lot of things that are going on. This is why we joke around with things like squirrel, shiny thing, right? It's become kind of a joke. And sometimes it's almost become like a medal on our chest. Like, I get distracted by shiny things. When in fact, it's killing our hearts. It's killing us inside. And it's making things difficult for us to enjoy our lives and to be able to win at higher levels in our businesses and our careers and those things that are important to us. Okay? So silence is beautiful. Now, there's the silence that we talked about with audible hearing, right? And then there's the silence of here, but then there's the silence of emotions, because this is how we experience life, is through our senses, right? Our hearing, our eyesight, our touch, our taste, and what we call proprioceptive feeling, which is the feeling of emotion, not the tactile feeling of touching stuff, right? Proprioception in there. And so when you get your heart to quiet down, when you get the emotions from all the distractions and all the triggers firing off around you to quiet down, your inner truth shows up. God shows up inside of you in a way to where now you start to see things as they really are. You start to remember those things that you loved. Your loves in life, whatever they are a key and a hint from your heart to say, go there, focus on that, do that, move that way. And the fact is that we act like and become that which we think about and that which we focus on. So keep that in mind. Another one that I'm finding helpful right now is rest, right? It's like, well, who has time for that? Now, I want to challenge you, because right now it's like, okay, yeah, rest. Yeah, we've heard that for 1,000 years. But the bottom line is that right now the world's not letting us rest. We have to take charge. You have to take charge and put yourself back in power around taking care of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual nature of yourself. Those are the 4 dimensions of the human person. Those are the 4 areas that make up the human life. And you have the ability and the agency to be able to be in control around that and be in power around that. And so we got to take a look at this. And so what is rest? What does that look like? I'm going to tell you, rest is sleep sometimes, right? It's like, when am I getting to bed? And am I getting to bed hitting the pillow going, I don't think I can survive another day, right? Am I resting well? When I'm sleeping at night, am I actually sleeping, or do I wake up a lot because of different things? Do you have your stupid device next to you, your phone, your iPad, your computer next to you while you sleep at night? That screen time screws up your eyes, which screws up your natural circadian rhythms, the noise of it going off, or the anticipation of it going off at a certain point in time from a text or a Facebook message or something like that. That is absolutely interruption into your silence, your solitude, and your rest. Do yourself a favor and turn off everybody else's agenda, which is what's happening when you're getting texted and pinged and emailed and flashed and all of those kind of things, that come off of your device. Stop succumbing to other people's agenda and take a stand for yourself. Get some rest. Why couldn't you take a nap in the middle of the day? You're worth it. You can do what you want, right? Say yes. It's true. You can. And you do the things that take care of you so that you can be as good as you want to be for your own life enjoyment. But more importantly, so that you can be the juggernaut that you want to be for those people in your life that are important to you. Those people that are counting on you to come through. It could be your kids, your spouse. They could be other family members. It could be your clients, right? It could be anybody for that matter. And that is where we gain a lot of our greatest fulfillment in this life, is what we do, the good that we do on the behalf of others. But you can't do it if you haven't rested. You can't do it if you're half empty or if you're running on empty. Let's flip the switch here for a minute. Another one that I found that has been very powerful in helping around all that's been going on right now is play. Like, when was the last time you literally just let yourself go? Like, you've heard it said, let your hair down, right? Just cut loose. And I'm talking absence of substance or circumstance. What I mean by this is substance. You didn't have to take a drug. You didn't have to drink any alcohol. You didn't have to, pop a pill. You didn't have to eat half a dozen donuts or anything like that you had to ingest or do that would actually change things inside of you to make you feel or be playful. Okay, just let go. Go for a run. Go play. If you're walking down, the green belt or some area near the water or the river, and you just like, that water looks amazing, jump in. Your clothes will wash, right? They'll dry. And as a matter of fact, when you give yourself permission to be playful and just let go for a little bit, it gives people around you permission to do the same thing. You might find that if you jumped in the river, jumped in the water, or swung from the tree or whatever it might be, that somebody's watching and they're going to get a kick out of it. They're going to get a grin. They might even laugh with you and come over and play with you. And sometimes people won't, but they'll smile and they'll move on, and it does something inside of them. But the most important piece, at least initially, is what it did for you inside. What is play to you? Do you even remember? I mean, with all the stuff that's going on, with all you have to stay busy with, remember what's playful to you. Make yourself do it. This was really probably 6-9 months ago. This was something that was weighing heavy on me, and I was finding myself staying locked up in my house and kind of just going, and I didn't feel like doing anything, including play, including getting out and having some fun. And I literally had to force myself, because my children were begging me, to drive down to the local pond, which is absolutely gorgeous. And the two of them wanted to go in, two of the four of them wanted to go in and swim. And I was like, fine, I'll take you swimming. But I made myself take my shorts, my swimming trunks, right, and a towel. And I made myself jump in, because the idea of jumping in, because it was really cold water, was like, no, that's just more pain. It's more distraction. It's more frustration in my life. And what I found is when I did it, I felt amazing because I made myself do it. And then all of a sudden, I was 10 again, right? I was hanging out with my two kids. We were loving and splashing and goofing off and spitting and you name it, doing cartwheels and dives off of the docks and all those kinds of things. And that was so refreshing, because when I went back home knowing that I had a few things I still needed to do to wrap up my workday, it was easy. It was easy. All right, one more I'm going to share with you. And this actually has to do with how you fuel your body. If you don't know this, you are a psychocybernetic organism. I know it's a mouthful. I almost couldn't get it out. All that means, it's just a fancy term. Psychocybernetics is just a fancy term for saying that there's a mind-body connection. Now, we know this just as much as we know anything else in science now. It's been proven over and over again. What's fascinating, though, is how you fuel your body determines how the chemical part of your body works. Okay, and so when your body chemicals are out of whack because of the way we've been eating and fueling ourselves, then what happens is frustration, anxiety, depression, tiredness, loss of energy, or I have energy, I have self-control, I have positive emotions, I have strength, all those kinds of things. So much of what I'm talking about with soul care is about your soul. But our soul, our person, if you will, is tied up in those 4 areas: your mental life, your emotional life, your physical life, or how you feel yourself and play and rest and those kinds of things. Movement. Okay. So I'm hoping and I'm trusting that this stuff has been ideas that you will invoke. And I don't care if it's 1 or all 5 of these ideas that I've shared with you, but take them, implement them into your life in such a way that is non-restrictive. Meaning, don't beat yourself up over the fact like, oh crap, I should be doing more things to take care of myself. This is not about creating a laundry list. This is not about making another checklist or to-do list or being on top of it and getting your shit together. It's not that. It's about rescue. It's about it's about restoration. It's about recovery. It's about bringing you back to the fullness of who you are, so that you can be the shining light, you can be the lighthouse for all the other boats out there, because you're good. And when you're good, you do good. And when you do good, it feels good. It's kind of like a cycle. You know that I love you. Be great. It's what you're made for. We'll talk again later.